The sun was setting over the small village of Takana, casting a warm orange glow over the thatched huts and the dusty streets. Young Kipenzi, a bright-eyed and curious 12-year-old boy, was out grazing his family's cattle in the nearby fields. As he watched the cattle roam freely, Kipenzi's mind began to wander. He thought about the stories his grandfather used to tell him about the great warriors of their tribe and their bravery in battle. He imagined himself as one of those warriors, fighting off enemies and protecting his family. But Kipenzi's daydreaming was suddenly interrupted by the sound of galloping horses and shouting men. A group of cattle raiders, armed with guns and spears, had descended upon the fields, rounding up the cattle and taking control. Kipenzi tried to run, but he was quickly caught and thrown onto a horse. The raiders, who spoke a language he didn't understand, tied his hands and feet with ropes and took off into the sunset. For days, Kipenzi was forced to ride with the raiders, watching as they drove the stolen cattle across the desert landscape. He was given little food or water and was often beaten or threatened by the raiders. But Kipenzi refused to give up. He remembered the stories his grandfather told him about the bravery and resilience of their people. He knew that he had to escape and find his way back home. One night, as the raiders were setting up camp, Kipenzi saw his chance. He waited until the guards were distracted, then quietly slipped away into the darkness. He ran as fast as he could, his bare feet pounding against the rocky ground. He followed the stars, using his knowledge of the constellations to guide him towards home. For hours, Kipenzi ran, his heart pounding in his chest. He was tired, hungry, and thirsty, but he refused to give up. Finally, just as the sun was rising over the horizon, Kipenzi saw the familiar outline of his village in the distance. He stumbled towards it, his legs weak with exhaustion. As he entered the village, Kipenzi was greeted with cheers and tears. His family and friends had been searching for him everywhere, and they had almost given up hope. Kipenzi's mother rushed towards him, embracing him tightly and weeping with joy. His father, a strong and proud man, lifted him onto his shoulders and carried him around the village, singing and dancing with pride. Kipenzi had finally made it home after days of captivity and hardship. He had faced his fears and overcome incredible odds, and he had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. From that day on, Kipenzi was known as a hero in his village. He continued to help his family with their cattle, but he also began to train as a warrior, learning the skills and traditions of his ancestors. And whenever he looked up at the stars, Kipenzi remembered the journey he had taken and the bravery and determination that had brought him home.